They say every family has a favorite child. In mine, it wasn't even a question. It was always her. Always. Sophie. I'm Emma, and for as long as I can remember, I was the other sister, the one people forgot to mention, the one whose name came second, if it came at all. When we were kids, strangers would stop my mother on the street to compliment Sophie's blonde curls, her big blue eyes, her perfect little smile. They'd coo over her like she was a porcelain doll. And me? I stood there, brown hair tangled, glasses slipping down my nose, waiting for someone to notice I existed too. But they never did. My mother would laugh and say, "Oh, this is Emma, my other daughter." Other. That word haunted me. It followed me everywhere. Birthday parties where Sophie got the spotlight. Family photos where I was cropped out or pushed to the side. School events where teachers remembered her name but called me Sophie's sister. By the time we hit high school, the gap had grown into a canyon. Sophie was the prom queen, the cheerleader, the girl every guy wanted to date. I was the girl in the library, nose buried in self-help books, trying to figure out why I wasn't enough. College wasn't any better. Sophie went to a big state school on a partial scholarship for her looks, yes, that's a thing, and became an influencer almost overnight. Meanwhile, I worked 2 jobs to pay for community college, studying psychology and human behavior because I wanted to understand why people treated me the way they did. I wanted to understand why I wasn't lovable. The worst part? Sophie never even noticed. She floated through life like everything was handed to her on a silver platter because it was. And I was invisible. The ugly sister. The backup. The one who didn't matter. Until 10 years later, when everything changed. I had moved across the country after grad school. I changed my name professionally, went by E.M. Carter online. I lost weight, not because I thought I needed to, but because I started taking care of myself. I got LASIK, grew out my hair, learned how to dress for my body. But more than that, I became a certified life coach and therapist. I built a business helping people transform their lives, especially women who felt overlooked, undervalued, invisible. Women like me. My social media presence grew. I never showed my full face in videos, just my voice, some aesthetic shots, text overlays. I became known for my sharp advice, my no-nonsense approach, my ability to see through people's lies and help them rebuild. And then one day, I got a message that made my blood run cold. "Hi E.M. I've been following your work for months and I'm desperate. My life is falling apart and I need your help. Money is no issue, please. I'm willing to pay whatever it takes. Sophie." Sophie, my sister, the golden child, the girl who had everything, was asking me for help, and she had no idea it was me. I stared at that message for 20 minutes. My hands were shaking. Part of me wanted to delete it, block her, pretend I never saw it. But another part, the part that had spent years swallowing bitterness and rage, wanted to know what could possibly be so wrong in Sophie's perfect life that she needed help from someone like me. So I responded, "Hi Sophie, thank you for reaching out. I'd be happy to discuss how I can support you. Let's schedule a consultation call. My rate is $500 per session. Let me know your availability." She replied within minutes. "Yes, tomorrow, morning, I'll pay anything." The desperation in her words was strange. Sophie never begged. Sophie never needed anything. She took. The next morning, I set up the video call. I angled my camera carefully, used a ring light that softened my features, wore oversized glasses I didn't need, and kept my hair different from how it used to be. I looked like a polished professional, not like Emma, the ugly sister from her past. When her face appeared on the screen, I almost gasped. Sophie looked terrible. Her blonde hair was greasy and pulled back in a messy bun. Her eyes were puffy and red, like she'd been crying for days. She wore no makeup, and her skin looked pale and blotchy. The girl who once glowed like sunshine now looked like a storm cloud. "Thank you so much for taking me on," she said, her voice cracking. I didn't know where else to turn. I kept my voice steady and professional. "Of course, Sophie. Tell me what's going on. Start from the beginning." And she did. She told me everything. How her influencer career had crashed after a scandal she'd promoted a scam product without realizing it. And her followers turned on her. How her fiancé, the man she thought she'd marry, had left her for someone else. Someone younger, prettier, more successful. How her so-called friends had all disappeared the moment her engagement ended. "I feel invisible," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Like I don't matter anymore. Like I'm nothing without my looks or my followers or him. Invisible. I almost laughed. Almost. Because for the first time in her life, Sophie was feeling what I had felt every single day growing up. She was experiencing what it was like to be the other one, the forgotten one, the one who didn't matter. But I didn't laugh. I didn't gloat. Not yet. Instead, I leaned forward, my voice soft and understanding. Sophie, I hear you, and I want you to know that what you're feeling is valid. But here's the truth. You've built your entire identity on things that were never really yours. Your looks, your followers, your relationship. Those are external. They can be taken away. What we need to do is rebuild you from the inside out. Are you ready for that? She nodded eagerly, wiping her tears. Yes, please. I'll do anything. Good, I said, because this won't be easy. I'm going to ask you to do things that will feel uncomfortable. I'm going to challenge you. But if you trust me, I promise you'll come out stronger. She agreed immediately. We scheduled twice-weekly sessions at $500 each. She signed my contract without even reading it. And just like that, I had my sister, my beautiful, perfect, golden child sister, completely in my hands. The revenge I'd never known I wanted was about to begin. Over the next few weeks, I worked with Sophie in ways she never expected. I didn't go easy on her, not because I was cruel, but because I genuinely wanted to see if she was capable of change, if she could actually face herself the way I'd had to face myself all those years ago. In our second session, I told her to delete all her social media apps for 2 weeks. No Instagram, no TikTok, no checking her engagement. She resisted at first, but that's my job. Is it? I interrupted. Or is it your crutch? You said you felt invisible without your followers. Let's see who you are without the validation. She hesitated, then agreed. By the third session, she admitted she'd been having panic attacks. She didn't know what to do with her time. She didn't know who she was without the likes and comments. Good, I said. That's the first step. Sit with that discomfort. Write down every time you feel the urge to check your phone. Write down what you're really craving. She did, and what came back was heartbreaking. I just want to feel like I matter, she wrote. I want to feel seen. I read those words and felt a strange twist in my chest, because they were the same words I'd written in my journal at 16. But I didn't tell her that. Instead, I pushed her further. I made her volunteer at a women's shelter, where no one knew her name or cared about her follower count. I made her attend group therapy sessions where she had to listen instead of talk. I made her get a part-time job at a coffee shop, where she was just another employee, not a celebrity. She hated it at first. She complained, she cried, she even tried to quit once, but I didn't let her. You hired me to help you rebuild your life, I told her firmly. If you quit now, you're proving that you were never serious, that you just wanted a quick fix. Is that who you are, Sophie? She went quiet. Then she said, No, I'm not a quitter. Then prove it. And slowly, something started to shift. She stopped talking about her ex. She stopped comparing herself to other influencers. She started showing up to our sessions with stories about the women she'd met at the shelter, the customers who'd complimented her latte art, the small moments that made her feel human. I had a conversation with this girl yesterday, she told me in one session, her eyes brighter than I'd seen them in weeks. She was struggling with her self-esteem, and I listened, and I told her she was worth more than she believed. And she cried and thanked me. It felt more real than any viral post I ever made. I smiled. That's because it was real, Sophie. You connected with someone as a person, not a persona. She nodded, wiping her eyes. I think I'm finally starting to understand what you've been trying to teach me. And that's when I realized something. My plan had changed. I'd started this wanting to watch her suffer, to see her humbled, to finally feel like I'd gotten some kind of cosmic justice for all the years I'd been overlooked. But somewhere along the way, I'd actually started helping her. And worse, I'd started to care. It was session 12 when everything fell apart. Sophie had made incredible progress. She'd started a small blog about her journey, not as an influencer, but as a real person sharing real struggles. She'd reconnected with one old friend who actually cared about her beyond her image. She was even considering going back to school. She looked different now. Lighter, more grounded, more herself. I don't think I've ever felt this clear-headed, she said during our call. I feel like I've been living someone else's life for so long, and now I'm finally waking up. That's exactly what's happening, I said. You're shedding the layers of who you thought you had to be and finding who you actually are. She smiled. I wish I'd had someone like you growing up. Maybe I wouldn't have gotten so lost. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? I asked carefully. She sighed. I don't know. I spent my whole childhood being told I was special because of how I looked. My parents, teachers, everyone. They made such a big deal about it, and I never questioned it. I just accepted it as truth. But now I realize how shallow it all was, how much pressure it put on me to always be perfect. She paused, then added quietly, I had a sister, Emma. She was so smart, so kind, but I never really saw her. I was too caught up in my own world. I think about her sometimes and wonder if she ever felt invisible because of me. My breath caught. She continued, her voice cracking. I tried to reach out to her a few years ago, but she'd changed her number, moved away. I don't blame her. I wasn't a good sister. I took her for granted. I wish I could tell her I'm sorry. I sat there, frozen, my heart pounding so loud I was sure she could hear it through the screen. This was it. The moment I'd been waiting for. The admission, the regret, the proof that I'd mattered all along, even if she hadn't seen it. But instead of feeling victorious, I felt sad, because Sophie wasn't the villain I'd built her up to be in my head. She was just a person, a flawed, broken, human person who'd been handed a role she didn't ask for and played it because she didn't know any better, just like I'd been handed mine. Sophie, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. What if I told you? Emma never left? She frowned, confused. What do you mean? I took a deep breath. My hands were shaking. This was reckless, dangerous. But I couldn't keep lying anymore. Sophie, it's me. I'm Emma. The silence that followed was deafening. Her face went pale. Her mouth opened and closed like she couldn't form words. Finally, she whispered, What? I'm your sister, I said, pulling off my glasses, tilting the camera so she could see me fully. I changed my name professionally. I built a new life. And when you reached out to me for help, I didn't tell you because I wanted to see if you'd changed, if you were still the same person who made me feel invisible my entire life. Tears streamed down her face. Emma, oh my God. I'm not telling you this to hurt you, I interrupted. I'm telling you because I need you to know that the work you've been doing, the progress you've made, it's real. And I'm proud of you. But you also need to know how much pain you caused, how much I struggled because of the way I was treated, the way you treated me. She was sobbing now. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know I didn't see. I know, I said gently. But now you do. And that's what matters. We didn't speak for a week after that call. I half expected her to disappear again, to block me, to pretend it never happened. But then I got a message. Can we meet? In person? Please. I need to see you. I agreed. We met at a quiet coffee shop in a city halfway between where we both lived. When I walked in, she stood up immediately. She looked different. Softer. Real. And then she hugged me. I hadn't expected that. I stood there, stiff at first, but then I felt her shaking, crying into my shoulder, and I hugged her back. I'm sorry, she whispered over and over. I'm so sorry, Emma. We sat down, and for the first time in our lives, we talked. Really talked. Not as the pretty sister and the invisible one, but as two women who'd both been damaged by the roles we were forced to play. She told me how suffocating it had been to always be the beautiful one, how she'd felt like she couldn't make mistakes, couldn't be human, how she'd lost herself trying to live up to everyone's expectations. And I told her how lonely it had been to always be the other one, how I'd spent years hating myself, hating her, hating the world for making me feel worthless. I became a life coach because I wanted to help people like me, I admitted. People who felt unseen. But helping you, it helped me too. It made me realize that pain doesn't have a hierarchy. We both suffered, just in different ways. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I don't deserve your forgiveness. Maybe not, I said honestly, but I'm giving it to you anyway. Not because you've earned it, but because I don't want to carry this anger anymore. It's too heavy. We spent the rest of the afternoon talking, laughing, even crying some more. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a fairy tale reconciliation, but it was real, and that was enough. Revenge isn't always about destruction. Sometimes, the greatest revenge is becoming the person you needed when you were hurting and using that strength to heal, not harm. I could have exposed Sophie, humiliated her, made her feel the way she made me feel. But instead, I chose to help her grow. And in doing so, I freed myself from the prison of bitterness I'd been living in. Beauty fades, followers disappear, but the person you become when no one is watching, that's what lasts. Sophie and I will never have a perfect relationship. Too much was broken for too long. But we have something now we never had before: honesty, understanding, and a chance to rebuild. Not as the beautiful sister and the ugly one, but as two women who finally see each other.